So glad you're here. Oh, there, aha. And that you can hear. Will you rise in body or in spirit, turning in our teal hymnal to number 1017. That's 1017, as we sing together, Building a New Way, hymn number 1017. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Thank you. Please have a seat. Well, good morning again and welcome. I was on the wrong page, forgive me. Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, a progressive religious presence in this community since 1865. My name is Dusty Francis, and I serve this congregation as Director of Music Ministries. We are so glad that you have chosen to share this time together, whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us online via the live stream. For those of you who are newer to our community and still getting to know us, please consider completing our newcomer survey at uuaa.org/newcomer survey to allow us to better connect you to your interests here at UUAA. If you're new and joining us here in person, we hope you might stop by the Redmond Room for a newcomer welcome immediately after the service. You'll find the Redmond Room just out the main sanctuary doors on the left side of the hallway. Now, as we transition from getting here to being here, hear the words of Maxine Hong Kingston. Children, everybody, here's what to do during war. In a time of destruction, create something. A poem, a parade, a community, a school, a vow, a moral principle. One peaceful moment. We are gathered in community. We are gathered for worship. Now, Reverend Theresa, our Minister of Pastoral Care, shared those words with me last week, and they put me in mind of a line from Jonathan Larson's 1996 Broadway musical Rent that has been running through my head for the last few weeks. The opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. Crystal Collins in the back was giving me a rock and roll fist along. Each Sunday, we collectively create this sanctuary, and it extends far beyond these four walls and far beyond the limits of Ann Arbor. We signal to the world that this place of refuge and of action that we co-create is open to all who seek it by lighting the flame of our chalice, the symbol of our faith. Today, I would like to invite Forrest Ray Collins to join us on the chancel to light the chalice. As Forrest lights our chalice here in the sanctuary, we invite our online community to light a chalice of your own, perhaps sharing in the chat the chalice is lit and from where you're joining us today. Please join me as we speak together our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Thank you, Forrest. Likely, many of us have recently marked Independence Day, July 4th, possibly with some complicated feelings about the occasion. Perhaps the most indelible personification of independence, of liberty in this country also bears a light to the world, standing with one foot atop unshackled chains in New York Harbor. Perhaps fearing that our leaders might someday forget who we aspire to be, Emma Lazarus gifted that figure a moniker and an inscription. She called the Statue of Liberty the mother of exiles, those without a home, standing with lamp aloft, waiting to welcome the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. It is good to have such tangible reminders of who we are and what we believe in. To know that even if we might not always get it right every time, we are in the company of those who are committed to trying again and again and again to meet the moment the next time and the next and the next. And for this community, we have our covenant to do that, to remind us who we are at our best and who we are always striving to be. Would you join me in speaking together the words of that covenant? The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another.
Okay, what was the last line of the covenant? To help one another, yes. Have you ever helped someone or done something that you think makes the world a better place? Have you done it without anyone knowing? If you have answered yes to even just that first question, do you realize how powerful you are? That you really, truly have power to make change happen? All it takes is one small spark of an idea. So think about that as you listen to today's Time for All Ages. One small spark, a Tikkun Olam story by Ruth Spiro, illustrated by Victoria Tentler-Krylov. Imagine the world you want to live in. If that's not the world you see, will you create it? When something is broken or someone needs help, you have a choice, an opportunity to repair the world. In a moment, you decide who you are and who you want to be. A spark that lights your heart becomes an idea and then action. Maybe you're small, but the problem feels big. It's okay to ask for help, because one person can't do everything, but everyone can do one thing, which may lead to another. Repairing the world takes understanding. It takes imagination. It takes practice. We're all on one team, each a string, like a rope made of strands holding hands, woven, connected, stronger. Along the way, you'll discover that many things are perfect just as they are. You'll also discover that sometimes it's hard to know what to do. But even the tiniest spark will flicker and dance until it's impossible to ignore. Think of each act of kindness as a little gift, given quietly. Not for a reward or even a thanks, because when life isn't fair and you have more than you need, you have the power to create balance, and balance feels better. You know, your action today changes everything tomorrow. And then the world will be different. Imagine everyone gathering sparks, opening their hearts, and repairing our world together. Tikkun Olam. The end. In the Jewish faith, the idea of Tikkun Olam is thought of as a call for social action and a pursuit of social justice. It stresses that humans, not a deity, humans have the responsibility to repair the world, to change, improve, and fix our earthly surroundings. It implies that each person has a hand in working towards making their own existence better, as well as the lives of future generations. Look how compatible Tikkun Olam is with Unitarian Universalism. We believe in this interconnected web of all existence, and that what we do affects the whole, and that what we do now affects the future. We do have power to create change for the better, to bring about balance, to give freely without the need for recognition, to move ourselves and the world from hopelessness to hopefulness. How can we meet this moment in time and feel hopeful for the future when every day brings us a new challenge? Tikkun Olam seems like a very good place to start. So start right now. Imagine the world, what it can be. Make it happen. One small change at a time, one small kindness at a time. And don't lose hope. I did not say it will be easy. In fact, you might not see an outcome immediately or even in your lifetime. But believe it, the kindness you show, the repair you attempt is making the world better. Believe that. If for nothing else, for these kids here and for all the young people we are tasked to care for as a community. So let's join our voices together in singing hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine, 118, as the youngest among us head out to their spiritual growth and development activities.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine everywhere. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Each month, we partner with a local organization to share our collection with them, to support the good work they do in our community. Today, we will hear about the Interfaith Hospitality Network, IHN, and their shelter for families, Alpha House. We'll learn what IHN Alpha House is doing to make the world better, one family at a time. Please welcome the Associate Director of IHN Alpha House, Dr. Douglas Manigault III. Douglas.
All right, can you hear me? All right. She said pointed at the chin. I just want to make sure I got it right. All right, it is a pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your service with us. Again, I am Douglas Manigault III, and I use he, him pronouns. I am the Associate Director at Alpha House. I want to thank Reverend Theresa Rohlck and everyone who had a hand in this for allowing us to be here for this quick moment today. How many of you in here, and it's no problem if you don't, but how many of you in here have heard of or know a little bit about IHN at Alpha House? Okay, good. A lot of folks in here who could have come up and told this story, but I'm going to do it today. So IHN at Alpha House, IHN, the Interfaith Hospitality Network of Washtenaw County, doing business as Alpha House, started in 1992 when a group of 12 churches got together and said, you know, there is a need for addressing the family homelessness in Washtenaw County. And one of those 12 churches was the UUAA church. So I want to first start with each of you giving yourself, whether you played a role in it or not, a round of applause for your role in this community response to child and family homelessness. So in 1992, 12 churches got together and said, you know, we have to do something about this. And so for 9 years, they operated a rotating shelter for families in the basement of those churches and in other places of those churches. And after 9 years, after growing more congregations, they got together and decided with the board of directors, you know, we really need to do something different. We really need to have a steady location for families. It's great to offer up space that we have in our churches, but families who are experiencing homelessness don't really need to rotate on a week-by-week basis, you know, between churches. And so in 2001, Trinity Health had a building on the west side of Ann Arbor known as Alpha House, and they gave us that space for $1 a year, and for the last 23 years, we have been operating the Alpha House as a family shelter for 6 families. And we felt like we were doing really good work. We were offering a number of wraparound services for those families. But then we got a new executive director in 2023, Shona Teruza, who said we have to do more. We have over 130 families on a waiting list waiting for shelter, and we had 6 rooms available for those families. We had to do more, and we know that we can do more. And so in December of 2023, at the end of 2020, at the beginning of 2024, we got some funding from the state of Michigan to transition some of our spaces into additional shelter rooms. And so under Shona's leadership, we moved our staff out of their offices and decided to transition 8 staff offices into bedrooms, increasing our rooms from 6 to 14. And on December 20th, 2024, we were able to bring in and welcome 8 additional families into rooms. But what made that moment more special is that in November of 2024, we decided to offer an emergency shelter for families during the winter, the first in the county in many years, where families could just show up if they had no place to stay. And we thought maybe between November and April of this year, we would see maybe 10 families who'll stay up to 10 to 15 days at a time. We had 47 families with no place to go choose to stay in the basement of Alpha House in a mission style on cots, very little, access to any privacy, but they got access to the rest of our services at the shelter. And on December 20th, we were able to move 8 of those families into those rooms right before Christmas. It was its own special day because families were crying, they were happy, they were grateful to have a space to lie their head down and to begin their journey to permanency. That wasn't enough for us. And so we continued to work with Trinity Health. And in April of this year, Trinity Health's leadership identified a building on their St. Joe's campus that was for assisted living and had been underutilized for the last 10 years. And they decided to give that building to us. So now we'll have 30 additional rooms for families. And so you add that with the 14 rooms that are in our Jackson Road Alpha House building location. And then we were awarded some money through the state of Michigan to lease 6 houses for our larger families. We've gone from 6 rooms for over nearly 25 years to having 50 rooms for family come this November. And we are not stopping there because we know that we have a job here to do to ensure that we continue to be a community response to child and family homelessness. And we're grateful for each and every one of you and for this church for continuing to serve meals, to bring supplies. We couldn't do it without you, and we're grateful for your partnership in this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk about repairing the world, right? Is that not hopeful? Wow. You can also meet with Douglas after the service in the social hall, so please make a point to stop by and say hello. I think this gives you your chance to practice Tikkun Olam today, right now, by offering a financial contribution to IHN Alpha House. You are also repairing the world, one family at a time, by helping with your financial donations. There are many ways to give. You can go online to uuaa.org/giving. You can select Share the Collection for the fund, text UUAA to 73256, and any cash or checks collected today in the baskets will go to IHN and Alpha House. So I invite the ushers to come forward now. And as they are coming forward, we will be ready to receive and listen to an offertory as we go forward. I invite the ushers to come forward, and as they do, would you please rise in body or in spirit as we dedicate our offering, recognizing with gratitude every little bit that has been given today. Please join me in saying these words. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you. You may be seated. I now have the honor of inviting to the chancel 3 lay leaders who served as delegates to the recent General Assembly, Cindy O'Connor, Laura Bolletino, and Bob Deenan.
Recently, over a 5-day period, June 18th through the 22nd, I spent time with approximately 3,300 people attending our denomination's annual General Assembly, or GA for short. This annual General Assembly, of which approximately 800 were online and 2,500 were in person in Baltimore, Maryland, was a mixture of inspiring and educational workshops along with the annual business meetings of our denomination. Imagine being in a convention center filled with Unitarian Universalists. It is truly an inspiring experience for me to participate in GA because it makes me feel connected to a greater number of Unitarian Universalists and to the bigger picture of what our denomination can accomplish in this country. I feel hopeful when I attend GA and see so many others who share my values and aspirations for the world. I was just one of 1,900 delegates out of the 3,300 people that attended. One can attend GA and not be a delegate, and just participate in the wonderful, varied presentations, authored talks, and many worship services. For financial reasons and convenient reasons, I chose to participate as a business-only delegate online. By attending remotely, I can get snacks and go to the bathroom whenever I want, more easily than in person, and I also protect myself from the overwhelm of social interactions that I find hard to manage. Delegates to the General Assembly agree to attend the business sessions each day of GA and to participate in the voting that takes place at specific sessions. I feel a stronger connection to our faith by taking part in the voting. I feel voting on the directions Unitarian Universalists take in the coming years is a privilege as I vote on the leadership and the topics we agree to focus on. I feel as strongly about participating as a delegate as I do about voting in our city, county, state, and national elections. I want to be a part of the decision-making that affects my life. That is one of the rare and special characteristics of our faith. We get a say in what action items are and in the people who lead us. It is a privilege I value. This year, there were leadership positions to vote on, the most important being who would be our moderator for the coming 6 years. The moderator works closely with the board and the executive staff and the committees of UUAA and runs the board meetings. They also facilitate General Assembly each year. They work with the president of our denomination and I believe support the very heart of our denomination. This year, it was a contested election. We were fortunate to have a set of great candidates, and ultimately Reverend Kimberly Quinn Johnson and Bill Young were selected as co-moderators for the next 6 years. 2 other things that were voted on were the Congregational Study Action Issue, or CSAI, and the Actions of Immediate Witness, or AIWs. I have always in the past had a difficult time with these acronyms and keeping them straight, but I finally got them straight this year. The key is the length of study time connected to each. The Congregational Study Action Issue is an issue chosen to be studied for 3 years. Congregations can participate in this long study by taking a deep dive into the chosen issue through programming provided over the 3-year period. The Congregational Study Action Issue chosen this year was Abolition, Transformation, and Faith Formation, sponsored by the Church of the Larger Fellowship Unitarian Universalists. Our own Restorative Justice Program was in support of this issue being chosen and will lead our congregation in efforts to further educate ourselves about dismantling the prison industrial complex we currently know and acknowledging the almost 2,000 incarcerated Unitarian Universalists that call the Church of the Larger Fellowship their home. If you are interested in this topic, please contact our Restorative Justice Group. They will be in the social hall next week, July 13th. The other issues voted on were the action of immediate witness, or AIWs. The actions of immediate witness are topics congregations can study through the coming year and come with a more urgent tone, being issues that the delegates feel need to be brought to the attention of congregations and members immediately. Last year, one of the AIWs was Solidarity with Palestine, which led our congregation to adopt our corresponding resolution. This year, the delegates chose the following 3 topics for congregations to focus on in the coming year. Immigrants are people who have inherent worth and inalienable rights. Faithful defiance of authoritarianism, and funding global LGBTIQ freedom amid crisis. Each of these topics are important and areas of critical concern in the current climate of our world. If you have any interest in furthering our congregation's education on these topics, please see one of the GA delegates this year and we can point you to resources. Even though the days of the actual General Assembly are over, one of the things I like about our faith is these study topics that call us to engage with current problems and issues. The business of General Assembly affects our future and present. We get to choose how we interact and educate ourselves about these pressing issues. We get to involve ourselves at whatever level we can to bring about justice and transformation in our world. Love is always at the center of our values, and we are participants pairing action with our truths. Thank you.
Like Cindy, I attended General Assembly as a delegate online, but unlike Cindy, I opted for full registration rather than business only. So I attended workshops and worship services as well as the business sessions. One of the highlights for me was a workshop called Reconciling the Past, Repairing the Future, about the predominantly white UU Church in Nashua, New Hampshire. Around 2016, when the news was full of stories about police brutality against Black people, the church's social justice working group asked themselves, how can we help? What can we do? They happened to learn about a Black minister named Jeffrey Campbell, who had been a part of their congregation, but they didn't know anything about him. So they started doing research. They looked in their church's archives, in books about Black UUs, and in the local newspaper, seeking information about this minister who they considered their spiritual ancestor. They found a lot of information. The more they learned, the more surprised they were that Reverend Campbell had been completely forgotten. They found that Jeffrey Campbell was born in 1910 to a Black father and a white mother. He joined the Universalist Church of Nashua when he was 18 years old and was very involved in the church and the community. He attended seminary, graduated in 1933, and was ordained as a Universalist minister in 1935. They also learned that Reverend Campbell experienced much racism throughout his career. For example, he was never called to full-time ministry by any congregation. His home church in Nashua never invited him to speak in their pulpit even once, despite his having been so active there. He died in 1984, and he was disappeared from history. Not even his home church knew about him. When the Social Justice Working Group learned about all of this, they determined to do what they could to make amends and to make things right. They started by presenting what they had learned about Reverend Campbell in an educational service in their church. They looked for Reverend Campbell's grave and found that he, his mother, and his sister were buried in a single unmarked grave in Nashua. Without a headstone, they were erased from view even in the cemetery. The working group felt a need to atone, and they thought that placing a gravestone would be the beginning of atonement. They contacted Campbell's daughters, apologizing for the way the church and the whole faith had treated Campbell, and asking for permission to put a headstone on the grave. The daughters gave their permission. They raised money for a gravestone, and when it turned out that they had raised more money than they needed, they donated the leftover funds to Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, an organization for Black UUs. In 2018, they held a service of remembrance and reconciliation, presenting what they had learned in their research. They invited Reverend Campbell's family, the mayor and alderman of Nashua, folks from the local NAACP chapter, and people from UU churches in their district. The executive vice president of the Unitarian Universalist Association spoke at the service, apologizing to the Campbells on behalf of the denomination. And they didn't stop there. The church committed themselves to working for a world where what happened to the Campbells doesn't happen again. They took their educational presentation to UU churches in New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts, and to the local chapter of the NAACP. This led to their becoming connected with an organization that is committed to telling the stories of Black New Hampshireans. Every year, they have a Campbell Day of Action, where they retell the story, and they all take some real action. They continue to donate money to Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. It occurred to them to wonder where the church's money came from. They found out that most of the wealth of the congregation came from cotton mills, weaving cotton that was grown by slave labor. So despite being in New England, it turned out that they had in fact directly profited from slavery. Reverend Campbell wrote several times about the disparity between what the church preaches and what it does. It struck the working group that the fact that the church's money came from slavery is an example of not practicing what they preach. And I wonder what similar stories might exist in the history of our congregation. Were there non-white congregants or people from other marginalized groups that have been disappeared from our memory? Did we profit from slavery? Were we involved in oppressing the indigenous peoples of the area? I found this workshop inspiring, both because of the story of Reverend Jeffrey Campbell and because of the ongoing commitment of the Nashua Church to do what they could do to make things right. Even decades after a wrong is committed, we can work towards repairing the world.
Good morning. I'm Bob Dinan. I attended GA in person this year. I always keep an eye out for GA locations that are drivable from Ann Arbor. I only attended one other GA, that was back in 2016. I feel like this is kind of loud. In Columbus, Ohio. Unlike Columbus 9 years ago, in Baltimore, there were only a handful of us attending from First UU, virtually or in person, which meant that any session I walked into, it was unlikely that I would know anybody, at first. Because it was very easy to meet people, strike up a conversation, and quickly find out how much we had in common. I met UUs from all over the country, including from Kansas, South Carolina, Minnesota, California, Hawaii, and of course, many from Maryland. Even though GA is huge, I was surprised how often I would run into someone that I'd had a good conversation with earlier. I elected to stay outside of the city, so my days started with a short drive downtown. At 9 o'clock each morning, we gathered for worship service, centered around themes like Juneteenth, celebrating our diverse global faith, and on the summer solstice, honoring the planet through our pagan traditions. Each afternoon consisted of 3-hour general sessions where the business of the UUA is conducted. As a delegate, it was understood that I would be in attendance for at least the last 90 minutes. Sometimes it felt like 90 days. 90 minutes of the 1 to 4 p.m. sessions to hear presentations and to make crucial votes on CSAIs and AIWs, as Cindy explained. During the first 90 minutes of the general session each afternoon, there was counter-programming on a wide range of topics of interest. From Thursday through Saturday, I attended sessions on preventing catastrophic loss, community care and deportation defense, led by immigration leaders from Border Links and UU Rise. Another day, it was In Service to Truth, Maryland Lynching Memorial Projects. Let me pull these out here. Led by the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission and supported by many Maryland UUs. You may be surprised and saddened to learn that the Maryland Project has documented 38 lynchings in the state between 1854 and 1933. And they are all listed on the back of this brochure to honor them. And finally, on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the publication of the OWL curriculum, I attended OWL Sexuality Education as a Community Care Innovation, a presentation of ideas on expanding community access to OWL beyond the four walls of our church. And in association with the anniversary, they had a big birthday cake and a celebration, and they handed out little tchotchkes like condoms that say, "Safer sex takes more than prayers." "My faith values pleasure." And then a number of stickers like, basically, sex ed saves lives. The featured session each day came right after lunch. Meet the Moment is both the theme of this year's GA and a movement-wide framework helping youths analyze, discern, and take values-based action in response to today's religious, cultural, generational, and political realities. Across the 90-minute session each morning, we attended to these 3 grounding questions. What is the moment we are in? What are the most urgent needs and important opportunities of this moment? And how do our UU values call us to respond to this moment? Our small and large group discussions built on the work done by the UUA over the last 6 months using WAVE cohorts, groups of people with knowledge and experience in specific aspects of our shared ministry. During GA, participants could engage in one of 11 different WAVE cohorts, such as faith development of whole church ministry, meeting the needs of parents as whole beings, and being guided by youth into the future. So you can kind of get an idea of the breadth of things that were offered. Because it related to our Vision 2050 goals, I chose, and this is kind of a mouthful, intersectional, anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism transformation in UU organizations. Basically, how can we apply it to the different groups that we are involved with at the church? So the discussions were stimulating and thoughtful. The intention is that UUs across the country will join virtual WAVE cohorts this fall in areas that interest them. To learn more, I invite you to search on Meet the Moment at UUA.org. Late afternoons featured author talks, and I attended 2. Pull it out. Deepa Iyer, whose book Social Change Now, A Guide for Reflection and Connection, will be a UUA common read this year. And Gloria J. Brown Marshall, a powerful speaker and organizer. I'm looking forward to reading her book on a protest history of the United States. The Where Lecture has taken place on the Saturday evening of GA since 1922, featuring a guest speaker with a critical message for the times we live in. This year, transgender speaker and activist Imara Jones captivated the audience with her powerful message, quote, "There is no way to save democracy without standing up for trans rights," unquote. If you search on Where Lecture at UUA.org, you can find videos of past speeches and, hopefully, soon, this year's speech. GA concluded with worship service on Sunday with powerful words and a huge and awesome choir, soloists, and dancing. It was a fitting way to wrap up 4 days of love and learning. Managing the extensive GA agenda required some handy tech, and that's where the WOVA app, or HUVA app, I'm not sure, WOVA app shined. The app allowed attendees to tailor an agenda to their needs and interests. Maybe more importantly, it allowed attendees to create individual meetups, such as morning runs, or afternoon walks, or shopping trips. I joined 2 dinner meetups with people I didn't even know, and it was fun. One night, 3 of us went to a great vegan restaurant a few miles away. Another night, a much larger group met up at a closer, even better vegan restaurant. Get a theme here? That barely got us out of there in time for the Ware lecture. Does all of this sound exhausting? Well, it was a little, but it was so worth it. All in all, GA is the perfect opportunity to convene with UUs from around the country to apply our principles and values to the challenges ahead of us, while also enjoying great music, worship, and fellowship. In the past, I've shied away from the all-virtual GAs, but after this experience, I'm looking forward to the all-online GA next year, and then the in-person GA conference in San Jose in 2027. I hope to once again be a delegate representing our great congregation. We will all be in the social hall, or right outside, after the service if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Our closing hymn is a great example of how meeting the moment changes in time as the moment changes. I Know I Can in the Teal hymnal number 1015 was no doubt the height of progressive inclusivity when it mentioned both brothers and sisters. However, we now understand, of course, that gender is much more expansive than just those 2 categories. So as we rise in body or in spirit, singing this hopeful hymn of commitment to action, know that we include all of our siblings of every gender, not just the 2 who fit narrowly into that binary category. Please join in singing number 1015, I Know I Can. No days be dark with storms, and burdens weigh my heart. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. Sorrow heals my soul, and burdens weigh me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long,
as we meet the moment, this particular moment in history, we are being asked to show up, to take risks, to struggle for liberation, to create radically inclusive communities. We are being asked to think in new ways, to use our creative energy to bend the moral arc of the universe towards justice. We just sang, "Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh at my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on." Know that you can go on. Know it deep in your bones that you are loved, you have worth, you are part of a community that will go on, no matter what. Go in peace with love and kindness in your hearts, today and always. Amen.